You know, imagine for a second that we could build bridges and skyscrapers that could last for millennia. I'm talking about structures that could stand as long as the Terracotta Army. For centuries, these ancient warriors have just stood there, defiant against time. So what if the secret to their incredible durability isn't some lost magic, but actually a forgotten material science that we can rediscover and use in our modern world? Let's dig in and uncover these secrets together. I mean, just think about it. We're looking at an army of over 8,000 life-size soldiers, every single one unique, buried and completely forgotten for over 2,000 years. And when they were finally unearthed, the world was just blown away, not just by the sheer scale of it, but by their amazing condition. This wasn't just plain old fired clay. This was something far more advanced, a sophisticated composite material engineered to last forever. And that, right there, brings us to the big question of this whole explainer. In an age with no modern chemistry, no industrial factories, how on earth did the engineers of the Qin Dynasty create materials that could withstand the test of time better than a lot of the stuff we use today? Well, the answer is a total masterclass in bio-inspired engineering. To find that answer, we've got to zoom in, way in. We have to go from the jaw-dropping scale of the army itself down to the microscopic evidence hidden inside each warrior. This is where archaeology and material science collide. Okay, so the first major clue is that there's no single secret ingredient. It's not that simple. The Army's incredible lifespan comes from a really sophisticated system of materials all working together. You can think of it as an engineered ecosystem of binders, coatings, and pigments, a true biocomposite. Let's start with the glue that literally held these soldiers together. Researchers have found what they call a multipurpose material. Basically, this incredibly powerful bioceramic adhesive that was used to stick arms onto torsos or anchor the figures to their bases. This was not just some simple mortar. This was ancient, high-performance structural epoxy. So, what's in this ancient superglue? Well, the recipe is just brilliant. For the organic binder, they used a protein, probably animal glue or maybe even egg whites. Then they mixed that with an inorganic aggregate, which was basically ground up pottery and minerals like quartz. And here's the really clever part. They added micro fillers, like biotite mica, which they intentionally fired at super high temperatures to get its properties just right before adding it to the mix. Now, this is where you really see what they were doing. This is bio-inspiration at its finest. A protein matrix reinforced with mineral particles. That is the exact same structural principle as natural bone, where you have flexible collagen protein reinforced with hard hydroxyapatite minerals. The Chen artisans were basically creating a giant, man-made version of one of nature's strongest and most resilient materials. But, bonding the pieces was only half the battle. Protecting them from the elements was just as important. And if you take a microscopic look at the paint layers, you realize it's not just a splash of color. It's a multi-layered protective system, and it all started with one crucial base coat. That foundational layer was Qin lacquer. It's made from the sap of a specific tree, and its key ingredient is a compound called urushiol. When this stuff is exposed to moisture in the air, it kicks off a process called enzymatic polymerization, which forms this dense, cross-linked network of molecules. In modern terms, they were creating a natural plastic, a waterproof, chemically inert, and incredibly tough coating that sealed the porous terracotta away from the elements. Okay, so if you thought ancient superglue and natural plastics were impressive, hold on. The story of the Army's color takes an unexpected turn. We're going from ancient chemistry straight into the bizarre world of quantum physics. I absolutely love this quote from physicist Marcelo Jaime because it just perfectly captures what happened next. Scientists were studying one of the Army's pigments for, historical reasons, and they accidentally stumbled upon a property so strange it could literally change the future of technology. The pigment is called Han purple, and the crucial thing to understand here is that it's synthetic. It does not exist in nature. To make it, Qin artisans had to get barium minerals, copper, and silica, mix them all together with a lead-based catalyst to lower the melting point, and then fire it all in a kiln at a super precise temperature, around 1,000 degrees Celsius. This was unbelievably advanced technology for that time. But here's where it gets wild. When modern physicists took this ancient pigment, cooled it down to near absolute zero, and then blasted it with a crazy powerful magnetic field, something that should have been impossible happened. The magnetic waves inside the material, which normally exist in our 3 dimensions, suddenly collapsed. They started behaving as if they only existed on a flat 2-dimensional plane. It's like the material literally lost a dimension. This phenomenon, it's called dimensional reduction. It had been theorized but never actually seen before. So why does it matter? Well, it's now helping scientists understand some of the biggest mysteries in physics, like high-temperature superconductivity. And ancient pigment is giving us insights for building the quantum computers of tomorrow. It's just mind-blowing. So how do all these incredible scientific discoveries actually translate into the world around us today? Well, let's take a look at their direct applications in modern construction. The same principles that preserved the Terracotta Army are now inspiring a full-blown revolution in building materials. You can see a direct line from this ancient ingenuity to modern innovation. For instance, that protein ceramic composite used to bind the warriors, it's now the basis for bioceramic scaffolds used to regrow bone in medicine. And that dense polymer network and the Qin lacquer, it's inspiring super repellent coatings for industrial pipelines. These ancient ideas are being reborn everywhere, from restoring old buildings to engineering soil. Let's just zoom in on one of those, sticky rice mortar. It's another ancient Chinese invention. Compared to modern Portland cement, it's a total game changer. It's breathable, which lets buildings manage moisture instead of trapping it. It's more flexible, so it actually performs better in earthquakes. And, maybe most important of all, its carbon footprint is tiny compared to cement, which is responsible for about 8% of all global CO2 emissions. That's a huge deal. This whole idea of a living material has evolved into concepts that sound like straight-up science fiction, like self-healing concrete. Today, engineers are actually embedding dormant bacteria into concrete mixes. So when a tiny crack forms, water gets in, it wakes up the bacteria, and they start producing calcium carbonate, basically limestone, which autonomously seals the crack from the inside out. And the innovation just keeps coming. Inspired by the rammed earth walls that were found in the Terracotta Army pits, engineers are now building structures using recycled cardboard tubes as a mold for compacted soil. This technique gets rid of cement entirely, and it creates strong, low-rise buildings with a carbon footprint that is 75% smaller than a conventional concrete building. So, what does this all mean for the future? Well, what we're really witnessing is a fundamental shift in the entire philosophy of how we build our world. We're moving away from brute force and towards something much, much smarter. For the last century, our approach has basically been about brute force, using inert, super stiff materials like steel and concrete to just resist nature. The future, inspired by the past, is all about adaptive resilience. It's about creating materials that are chemically active, that are flexible, and that can heal themselves, working with their environment instead of just fighting against it. So you see, the most profound secret of the Terracotta Army isn't just a recipe for a material, it's a philosophy. It teaches us that true, long-lasting durability doesn't come from being unbreakably rigid. It comes from being adaptable, from being able to heal, from being dynamic and reactive. And it leaves us with this one last powerful question. By looking back at the microscopic secrets of these ancient warriors, we've actually found a blueprint for a more sustainable and resilient future. What if, by truly learning these lessons, we could build cities that last not for decades or even centuries, but for millennia?